it applies both literally and figuratively. And I'm so happy. Uh, D.A. Howard is a friend of mine. I've had the opportunity to work with her on some other initiatives down through the years. And so when I asked her yesterday if she would just bring some remarks to us, or maybe it was the day before, she just graciously agreed. But in addition to being lovely, I got another description for her, which is a phenomenal woman, which she is when you just think about everything in which she's involved and how she has taken that position by the horn and tried to get everybody involved and to be fair to everybody and produce the kind of atmosphere in this community that will be beneficial not only to the citizens but also to the entrepreneurs. So I think that's the tie-in that as it relates to why we're having her this morning, in addition to other reasons. So I want you to just begin by telling a little bit about yourself before you go into the program and initiatives. And I want to publicly thank you. And I want to do it now while I'm thinking about it for the job that you are doing as our district attorney. You have been phenomenal, and I want to pledge my support, and I'm sure that's true for the organization and its members and all these great initiatives that you have going on. So I'm pledging now for me and whatever influence I have to support you in any way possible. D.A. Howard.
Oh, well, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Mr. Havisham. I'm so thankful for your continued support. As you said, we've known each other for years in different capacities that I've worked in. And so, as he said, I'm Anita Howard, and I'm honored to serve as your district attorney for the Macon Judicial Circuit, Bibb, Crawford, and Peach counties. I am a career prosecutor. I have been a prosecutor for over 17 years, and I love what I do. I've always loved the job of being a prosecutor to ensure public safety. But we know that we do definitely have to uh, prosecute by traditional means, but prosecution alone has never and will never make a community safe. We must also be focused on prevention. I think the prevention is equally important, if not more important, than the actual prosecution. We know how to prosecute cases. That's what we do. That's what they're doing. All throughout the state and the nation. But how do we really change a community? And so, what I'll be talking to you briefly about today, and I believe a little bit more in depth, maybe Monday. What I'll be talking about today is just a few of the things that we're doing on the prevention side. Please know that we are doing our traditional means of prosecution. We have a trial going on right now, typically at least 3 weeks out of each month, if not more. There's a trial going on somewhere in the circuit. Sometimes we have multiple trials going on, but uh, we're trying cases now from about 2017 to 2019. So that gives you an idea how far behind we are. And we can't prosecute our way out of this backlog. And so that's why it's going to be important. Some of the initiatives that we have currently and the ones that we have on the rise coming this year, those initiatives are so important. And so I guess I'll start talking about those now. So the first, you kind of see my shirt going on now. It's not typical that I wear t-shirts, but this is Operation Hype. This is our Junior Justice League, and this is a league for our youth, and it is for the months of June and July. And so we actually have an activity event scheduled for today. This morning, the children are headed to um, the Fort Valley State University to tour their agriculture department and speak with individuals from their program. They will eat lunch there, and then we will head to Critter Fitzers with Dr. Hodges and Dr. Ferguson for their Vet for a Day program, because we want to make sure that our youth understand that, agriculture is a big part of Georgia, but more specifically Middle Georgia. And a lot of entrepreneurship, has come from the field of agriculture. And sometimes that's not taught or is looked down upon. But, there have been some very successful individuals who, come from an agriculture background. So we want to make sure that we expose our youth to that. And you may say, well, DA Howard, where are you getting the youth from? It's not a wide net. We don't cast a wide net for this particular initiative. This initiative is very intentional. So this initiative is made up 90% of the children in this initiative are children who were actually victims of crime in 2021. So we have children who have been molestation and rape victims, children whose parents have been who were murdered, children who their parents are the alleged murderer, because as we know, their lives are affected by the senseless gun violence that we are seeing in our community, and oftentimes we prosecute the cases and we traditionally we've not looked at the residual effects of that violent crime. And so all of the initiatives that we'll be talking about are for the purposes of breaking the cycle of violence and stopping the trauma, and that increases public safety, which also increases a economic development. It increases the workforce, making sure that as business owners you have skilled a skilled workforce, a skilled educated workforce, discipline. I'm sure you all are dealing with some of the things that I'm dealing with. We have, we're doing pretty good now. We've had some vacancies, and I would do interviews, and people say, "Well, can I work from home?" And I said, "This is not really the type of job you work from home." So those are some of the, our crime victims. They come into the office, so we have to be there and have to be accessible. So I'm sure you all experiencing some of the things that we are experiencing, and that we're experiencing, throughout the state. Another one of our events that we did with the Junior Justice League in June was we partnered with Mercer Law School to have a youth symposium. It focused on STEM, exposing the kids that were a part of that initiative to financial literacy. We had someone to come in to talk about that, as well as we had NFL player Bud Dupree not only talk about his career as a an NFL player, but also to talk about his entrepreneurship. And the youth found that very, very interesting, and it was somebody that they could relate to, and so we thought that was definitely beneficial to them. And so many of you have probably heard about our RISE initiative, Restoring Inspiration by Success in Education. That is a much wider net, because those are more individualized community support that we offer, where we actually do assessments of each child and initial assessment based on adverse childhood experiences. What experiences has this child had that have caused this child to experience trauma, and then what can we do to mitigate that trauma or the effects of that trauma. And so we know this directly affects crime, and so it directly affects business owners. It directly affects the prices of homes. How attractive is our community, as Bibb County, as Middle Georgia, as far as families moving here, buying homes, new businesses coming. So all of this, it is full circle, and we know that what one of us does affects all of us. And so that's why we're trying to make sure that we produce young folks that have good citizenship, because good citizenship equals a good skilled workforce, and that is where we are focusing our attention on. And Another one of our initiatives that we're very proud of is the intake investigative unit. I know people, I tell my staff all the time that when people are dealing with our office, typically they're in some kind of a crisis. Some more minor than others, but no one plans to have contact with the DA's office. People plan to do a lot of stuff in life, but if you're dealing with the DA's office, something has happened that you didn't plan to happen and that you didn't want to happen. And so, whether that's coming from the defendant side or the victim side. And so, my intake investigative unit, I am proud that since I took office, we have increased the number of investigators that we have from 7 to 13. You say, well, why is that important? That's important because number one, we know that we have a law enforcement shortage, not just here. It's not unique to Bibb County. That is, again, statewide and nationwide. And so, but that doesn't, just because we have that shortage, it doesn't decrease the level of of evidence that we need to successfully prosecute cases. And so we have to get the work done. And having that number of investigators allows for more impersonal, intentional engagement. We just had a meeting and we were talking about property crimes and things of that nature. There was a business where there had been a theft, and the victim services, the victim advocate reported that I've sent a letter and nobody responded. And I said, well, that business is right down the street. Go out with one of the investigators. Go talk to them. And so I hope none of you ever become victims of crime. But there we do have a large population of businesses that have experienced that, and we know that sometimes that paperwork gets lost in the shuffle. So because we have a new unit, that unit can go out and that unit can make contact with business owners to say, what was returned, what were your damages, things of that nature. We do know that everybody knows we have a lot of violent crime, but I know that the property crime cases are just as important to you, and therefore just as important to me. And so we are, working diligently on ways to increase the successful prosecution of those cases as well. So that's just a little bit about what we're doing at the DA's office. I know Mr. Havisham just asked me to speak for a few minutes, and so I think Monday he has me somewhere where I'll have my victim witness services director who will be there with me, and we will actually be able to do a full presentation. So, Mr. Havisham, is this what you had in mind?
Oh, absolutely what I had in mind. And I'm a bit more decent now, so I can show my picture. It's absolutely what I had in mind, DA, and I want to just express my sincere appreciation to you. And as you all can see, DA Howard is doing a lovely job, as Brittany said, and we really appreciate it. And I'm glad you mentioned Monday because she's going to be the sponsor for our business mixer, and we want to thank her up front for that. And we're going to be at Serenity Entertainment Center. That's July the 11th at 420